itself is a threat. So I know now people look at me as some type of threat. It's hard not to have a mindset where you're a little bit afraid because like, yo, people perceive me as a threat. What do people do when they're threatened? We don't even need to go there. So when you're walking outside, when that's your everyday existence, how can you feel safe? The only time we feel safe is when we're home. And even sometimes when we're at home, we don't feel safe because the people that are at home that are supposed to take care of us aren't taking care of us. And some of us have moms or dads that are abusive, like whether it be emotionally or physically, right? So you really don't have a space where you're safe at all. And because you're a man, you don't even have a space where you can at least express the fact that, yo, I don't feel safe.
That's interesting. So let me ask you, I'm gonna ask you first, Dr. Joe. There's something that you told me to never say to a black man. You said this to me last week. You said, never call a black man sensitive. Is this brother emotionally intelligent? And I'm gonna ask you guys that too, because some men will say, maybe he's just being a little bit sensitive. What are your thoughts about what he has to say? Is he emotionally intelligent?
I don't know, but I know, what he feels is what he feels like, and I'm listening, just hearing this topic, right? Tierra's always asking me to be energetic and I want to give energy, right? But just the thought of this topic has anxiety crawling up and down my body right now, because it is very hard to feel safe. It's very hard to feel secure. And oftentimes I don't know where to go, especially I'm this landing space for a lot of people. That people come to me to feel better about their situations, and so I take all that in, and then I also have to deal with the fact that I'm living in a country that any person with reasonable intelligence has to recognize and realize hates them. This place that we live in hates me. All right, and now that's always been a thing. That's always been consistent. Now it's more emboldened to say it out loud, to enact policies and all types of embolden the type of people that are willing to cause harm to my person. And then more than ever, we're not unified. So like it feels like a well executed plan is like coming to fruition to divide weaken the community, weaken the family. It's all coming to a plan. So yeah, I don't know if he's emotionally intelligent or not, but I feel him.
Yeah. Lee said, I'm a black man in America and I don't in fear in any way. So I'm gonna ask you, Moya, and I know that you can't speak from the perspective of a black man, but Joe said something. He said we're more divided than ever. Do you feel that? Do you think that we're more divided than ever as a people?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that because I believe a lot of the policy has infiltrated our everyday what we see, and it's infiltrated our mind and how we perceive the world around us. So I believe that leads us to division. So I do think that. I do think that. I don't. I guess we'll get further into the topic, but I believe black men have always been under attack. From the time where they used to cut off their members and put them in the grocery store in jars to showcase what they've done. So, yeah, I believe black men have always been.
Yeah, it goes back to that joke that says the first time a white man saw a black man's genitalia, that's when racism started, the inferiority complex. Yeah. For you, Vanessa, do you think that this is the most dangerous time for a black man?
I don't know if it's the most dangerous time, to be honest. I mean, I grew up with a father that was raised in Selma, Alabama. So some of the experiences that he told me were extremely graphic, and being that he had to walk to school seeing black men and women hung from trees. And that was walking to school. So, but I do think that it's an ingrained fabric that hasn't let up. So while the racism isn't as vivid, it's still ingrained in the system so much that if you don't have the capacity or the resources or the family to educate you, to help you run businesses, to help you get out of this fabric in a way, then I think it can be perceived as detrimental as it was back then. But in history of America, I'm going to say I don't think so, at least not yet. Just based on the experiences and the stories that I've been told by my father.
Okay. Gwen, I know you said we got to do a break, but we only been on 9 minutes, baby. We only been on 9 minutes. We got 3 more minutes to break. So can I ask you a question, Tira? Can I ask you a question, please?
It's time for commercial.
All right, break.
It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
Pan-African Hannibal, when was we talking about dating white men? Was I not on that show when we was talking about dating white men? Was we saying, was that a thing? Did y'all have that topic when I wasn't here? I don't know. Anyway,
What are you talking about?
Yeah, because I ain't never talked about dating a white man. I ain't never had the desire to date a white man. But excuse me, Vanessa talked about, well, I'm not sure if it's the most dangerous time, but maybe like mentally it might be the most dangerous time for a black man. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it's dangerous because our mental health is really challenged? We have all these things coming at us. We have a lot of propaganda that's going on, maybe the warfare on our mental and on black men's mental health. Is that an all-time high? Is that what it is? What do you think?
Yeah, you don't have to beat and put people in jail in order for them to be in prison, right? So that doesn't have to. And if you've already spent centuries making sure that you're oppressing a certain group of people, obviously, I feel like Black people have been targeted, but specifically since the beginning of time, Black men have been targeted, right? We can go back to slavery, them separating them from their families, making sure that they're taking the Black man out so they can then, use the Black woman as a workhorse and have more children so she can, just taking away the strength. And just like us seeing that throughout history, we saw that, them taking Black men, in the 60s out of the home, giving welfare. There's just, I feel like, and now we see that, right? Where it's like more than 50% of Black men, Black women are single mothers, right? They're not living in the home with men. And I just think that is because of what we've had to withstand as a community and Black men. So I believe that this is a time that is very dangerous for Black men and for different reasons. I'm not a Black man, but I think about employment. I think about how like Black on Black crime. I think about police brutality. I just think about all of these things that really put the Black man, and again, just his existence. When y'all hear that video, he said, just me breathing, just me walking outside is a threat to someone else. Like, that's, when you think about it, that's so dangerous and that's so scary. And I'm not here to fear monger, but I'm like, that's a reality for him. That's a reality for a Black man that I can't relate to. When I walk outside, I'd be like, hey, my neighbors be like, how you doing? It's not that, right? So don't let him have on a hoodie or like, or whatever, or look like the suspect of whoever, or fit the profile or whatever that is, so I think it's a lot saying that this man said just his existence is a threat. Like,
Yeah.
That's scary.
Sir Michael said, where does he stay? When you say Big Mac said, Black men have all the power, but not the mindset. If we get active and move as one, it's over. And I think that's what we have to learn to do is use our power as Black people. Because I think for Black men and Black women, and this is not about Black women, but I think for all of us, we have to think about being Black all the time. It's not something that's just not. It's like we got to walk out and we have to, we have to act accordingly. When we're in places and spaces where we're not the majority, we really have to think about who we are. And when you look at the history of this country and you look at, just like Moya talked about, enslaved and the things that they have done to Black men over the period of time, and then after slavery, then you start criminalizing Black men for minor offenses and the Black codes, and now you're imprisoning them. And now you've also propagandized the Black men by saying that they are the brutal, they're the savages, we're lazy, we're all of these things. Once we start working for y'all for free, now we become lazy. And now we are the monsters that and that's a media propaganda that's been put out. But the dangerous part about, I think, that is that not only have they put it out, which is, the story belongs to who writes it, right? Whoever has the ears of the media, whoever owns the media, they can put the story out. The dangerous part to that is that we've started believing it, us.
Yeah.
And so just like Big Mac said, if we get active and start moving as one, it's a wrap. Why do y'all think, Joe, why do you think there is such an effort and a targeted attack against Black men to emasculate Black men, right? Because they want to make y'all, they want y'all to put on dresses on so that you not look so threatening, to criminalize. But why is there such a huge focus on making sure that Black men are weak?
Because what is the system, and this is just my opinion, but this is a fact. What is the system designed to do? Honestly, it's designed to uphold white supremacy, right? It's designed for that. It's what it's always meant to do since the beginning of this country. So weakening the Black men is probably the number one thing on the agenda for upholding white supremacy. And if I'm wrong about that, like, tell me. You know what I mean? Like, it makes the most sense to do. Like, if I want to be, if I don't want to give up my white privilege, obviously I want to continue to weaken the Black man, because a weakened Black man is also, believe it or not, a weakened Black woman. You're doing you're doing two things at once.
Mm-hmm.
So allowing, because the woman's gonna stand, she's standing tall, right? She's always gonna stand tall, but she can only do so much. You know what I mean? She can only do so much, and now she's tired of what? Fighting the Black man, or pulling the Black man back up, or all the things that go into, like, I can go down a rabbit hole with all this stuff, but it makes the most sense. If I want to maintain white privilege and white supremacy, obviously I have to keep down the Black man, because the Black man is powerful.
That's why we're public enemy number one.
I saw a T-shirt when I was in college, and I never forgot it, man. A T-shirt said, "Educated Black man, danger, danger, danger." It's the most dangerous thing in the world. A Black man
Hoover said that.
is a Black man that knows and understands who he is and what he is.
That part. That
is a detriment to the American system. It's the biggest opponent to the American system, and we know that.
Mm-hmm.
Know that. So yeah, it makes sense to do what they're doing, and we, but I do agree with one of the brothers said, it's the best time to be a Black man. I agree with that, because it's an awakening right now. If you really are paying attention, you understand what it is, and you understand it's an opportunity, and then you know that these people are not coming to save us, or they're not meant to save us, help us, or do anything. Their education systems, all their systems are not meant. We have to do other stuff. We have to, or we're going to stay where we are, or we're going to be backwards like we are right now. Look at this fucking idiot. I mean, go ahead, somebody else, man.
I feel you. Listen, I hear all that.
Somebody
I
else.
feel you.
Vanessa, you chomping at the bit. You look like you want to say something.
I do, because I always say that no one is coming to save us. And I think that that's the common ground that we all need to learn and accept. So if we don't educate our children, if we don't educate our community, if we don't uphold our Black men don't uphold our Black women, then the system will fall. We can't rely on a system to be for us. It's never been for us. So even when I hear people DEI initiatives, yeah, it does suck. But keep in mind, most of these initiatives were put into place in 2020 when it was like, oh, BLM. So we've been operating without that. So I think now more than ever, it's like now I'm taking something away, but y'all was never for us anyways, if I'm
Right.
being real. So we've always navigated through a system that isn't for us. And like, you know, some of the comments have been saying, this is a great wake-up call, because one thing that our predecessors did is they fought civil rights. They fought. When my dad got arrested 5 times, Bloody Sunday, he was marching, sit-ins, like they was 10 toes down, they was fighting. I feel like the generation afterwards, we've kind of started relaxing. And so because we've been so relaxed, now our rights, we feel like our rights and things are being taken away from us. But this is a great time to coordinate and say, okay, well, I'm only going to spend with Black companies. Cool. That's how you feel? Great. I'll keep my money, grow my businesses, build my community. And that's how we save ourselves. Like, the system isn't going to do it, period. Like, it's never going to do it. So people that are waiting around for the government to come and save them, you will never be saved if you're Black, because they don't like your ass.
Ooh,
Period.
they don't like your Black ass. Moya, Lee said, I don't think that we'll ever move as one. Unfortunately, it's the educated against the allegedly uneducated. And that's the problem that we have in our Black communities. What do you think about that?
I feel like this has been an ongoing topic. I feel like I feel like we have the same conversations like every 100 years. I feel like it's the same thing between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington in terms of, you know, like the educated and the talented. I mean, we need everybody. We need people who are educated. We need people who didn't take their traditional education route. I feel like we need all of us. And we have never been on one accord, except when it comes to them attacking us as a person. So as Vanessa was saying, that this is the best time for us to wake up and say, hey, they've never been for us in the way that we really needed to be for us. We attempted to use those tools that they gave us to tear down their house, and it's not going to work. So at this stage, we have the opportunity to put together a new set of tools based upon what we have at our disposal, whether it's social media, whether that's teaching our kids how to code, whatever that may be, that can now be used as a way to further our mission, which is self-sufficiency and
That's what it
money.
is. And you talked about the tools, Tierra. What are the tools? What are the new tools that Black people need to be using?
Our spending power, our spending power, the internet, right? We need to. I know we talked about this before. You know, there's a blackout coming up, and so last week we talked about on the show about making sure that we are communicating with one another using text, spreading the word. I mean, remove her. Spreading the word. You know, and just patronizing each other. I think that's most important. Really, just seeing each other, shifting our mindset being the first thing that we can do before anything happens, right? Us seeing our brothers and sisters and not buying into a story that are, you know, the things that people tell. Like you said, we embrace those things. Black businesses, Black people don't do this. They not good at that. I don't like, you know, it's like this thing that we grab a hold to. And it's the reason why we only patronize 2% of our Black businesses, right? If we have $2 trillion in spending, you know, that power, and we're only using 2% of that to patronize each other. I feel like that alone could save the Black community. Just us
Right.
simply going to one another for the things that we need. That would save us. That would save us. We went from 2% to 10%, and then go from 10% to 50%. 50% would just, we wouldn't need nobody. They couldn't tell us shit. If we
That
just get
part.
there, right? So I just
That
think
part.
it's a shift. I think it's a shift in mindset, but I do still wonder if we're saying what we're saying, if what I hear is if we insulate ourselves, right? Um, that means that our Black men are less in jeopardy or less vulnerable to the society that we live in. Is that what we're saying? Is that what somebody said that I was correct?
I think so. I think that it would definitely help, right? I mean, I think that if we support one another, if we support our businesses, if women are we're supporting our kings, and I think if that's done with our children, it will definitely help. I don't know if it'll end all the American racist fabric that has been ingrained in the system, but for sure it will help. I mean, just alone, like you were saying, Tier, I mean, what does $2 trillion look like going into the Black community every year? Like, what does that look like? I mean, just can you
Shit,
imagine that?
what about 20 billion of it? Or what about, if
Even,
we had more than 2% going into
yeah,
our community?
exactly. Like,
It's
what, you know what
crazy.
I'm saying? Like, just think about Black men that own businesses, right? And them getting a big share of that money, and what that does for your family, what that does for your confidence, what that does for your community power, how you can empower your community. Like, just that thought alone, like it's a game changer.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're gonna talk more about it when we come back from the break, because I really want to talk about the economic power that we do have and the mindset shift, because I think those are two things that we really need to focus on, Black people. That's really gonna make a difference in our community, in our leadership, because our leadership, when we look at leaders, our Black men should be the head of the households. It shouldn't be a Black woman. It should be the Black man. And anything with two heads is deformed. It's not correct. So you need to in order to have a strong family foundation, you need to have a head. And we need to have more Black men at the helm of these families. So I want to talk more about that when we come back from our break.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you. We are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us, so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
So, there's a comment that says, you really believe that they are going to allow us to be self-sufficient? Hell no. Allow.
Well, I think there's two levels to it. We're talking about the economy, but we also have to talk about politics as well. I think we have to get more active in that as well. I think it's a two-pronged approach that we need.
Okay, so going to his question then, Moya, do you really think they're going to allow us to be self-sufficient? I mean, if that's it sounds like it's coming from a man. What is that saying about him in his manhood, about somebody letting him do something or not? Because to me, it sounds very defeated. It sounds very weak. What do you think, Moya?
Well, Constance, I can see where you're saying there. I think you're right, like in terms of allowing. So we definitely have to take a stronger approach.
What you think, Black Panther right over there? What you think, Vanessa?
I mean, getting in a mindset of you're not gonna allow you can't be led by the mindset of, is someone going to allow you to do anything? Our ancestors broke the door down. Like, you have to. There's so many resources. Tierra just dropped one. We have so much information now, more than our ancestors had. We should not be asking permission to anyone to allow us to do anything in terms of being self-sufficient. You can run a business. You can get on Dr. Boyce's network, learn how to invest. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many resources that in this day and age, and because I understand mentally how draining, like Tierra was saying, my fiance really, we didn't have some deep conversations about looking at properties and buying in South Africa, because he's feeling a little bit of anxiety, even though he's not saying it in that way. I know what that is, right? But you still have to move. We have so many resources. We need to move like it that our ancestors didn't have, and they still got shit
That part.
done.
That part.
So we're not allowing anyone to hold us back, because that's the opposite. You're going to allow someone to not make you self-sufficient. I don't know. I don't think people, you shouldn't have those excuses. If you want to be self-sufficient, you better find a way, especially in this day and age.
That sounds like the most uneducated slave thing that I've heard a Black person say. Not an educated slave, because there was a lot of educated, rebellious slaves, but that sounds like, you think master gonna let us do that? I mean, come on, Negro, please. If you don't gather yourself and get your shit together and get information and start taking shit, don't ask for permission. You could ask for forgiveness, but don't ask for permission. Your lives are at stake. Our legacies are at stake. Our children, our communities are at stake. And you don't ask these white motherfuckers for something? Shit. Tiara, there was
Tara, I feel you, Constance.
You think they gonna let us do that, boss?
I mean, okay, I hear what you're saying, right? Like, I see Big Mac. He said, I think Black men need to stop operating in fear, right?
That part.
But I also wonder, because we're leaving out a part. We just had a video with a Black man saying, when I walk outside and me breathing, me standing in existence is a threat to other people. How do you operate in a system? You saying you better get up when you can walk, just breathing, you can get shot down. So I understand on the flip side of what's being said, like, there is a real danger here. Like, I'm not saying like in every moment there's a danger, but I'm saying there's a feeling, there's a trauma that is there that Black men feel. And I think we just gotta, or Black people in general feel, and we just gotta acknowledge that lives. And without proper therapy, without proper like process of undoing that, you ain't gonna hop up like a boss and be like, let's get it popping, because you don't even think you worthy of that. So how we gonna get to worthiness if we ain't even dealt with like the traumas that we feel? Like, that's not real life. That's not real. And so I'm gonna put it there. We can go to Joe on that, but like, if you feel trauma, you're also not gonna operate in your best self. You're not gonna have the confidence to get up and just move like a boss. You're just not gonna do it.
But from what I'm seeing in the comments, and Joe, I want to let you answer that. From what I'm seeing in the comments, a lot of Black men aren't feeling that. It's kind of like if I go somewhere, I don't go fuck about what nobody else is doing. When I walk in a room, I used to be with my assistant or my ex, and they'd be like, you see that person? They looking at you. I don't give a damn what nobody thinks about Constance Carter, because I'm so confident in myself that I don't give a damn. And this man is living and breathing on, oh my God, I can't breathe. They're going to run across you. Why are you worried about everybody else? If you have the confidence in yourself, and perhaps he needs to be on Joe's couch, because if he's so worried about what everybody's thinking about him, of course, we got to think about being Black. And of course, being, like James Baldwin said, to be Black in America to be relatively conscious is to be at a rage at all times. So we are aware, but to be embodying that fear, I don't think so. What do you think?
But we have the resources now. That's all I'm gonna say. We have the resources.
But we also have people, Gwen, okay, I want to run a video because, and this
I want to hear what Joe got to say first.
I'd like to hear what Joe has to say.
Me too, Joe. What you got?
No, I want to hear what Joe has to say, but I want to run that video of go ahead, Joe.
Let Joe talk, and then we'll run a video. I'm moderating.
That's true.
Fear.
I'm just kidding.
Fear of anything is the same. You know what I mean? Yes, Big Mac is right. We don't need to operate in fear, but we don't get a person to not operate in fear by telling them that their fear is invalid.
Right.
Yes, Vanessa is right. We do have resources and we do have ways to, move and operate in this country together. These things are really true. But like I said, you don't get a person to do what they need to do by telling them that their fear is invalid. You just don't. That's just not how fear works. Fear is, basically being scared of something unknown. We don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I live in a country where I have two sons that could walk out of this house. I live in Dallas, Texas. They could walk out of this house and they could say or do something to the wrong person and not come home, and there could be no consequence for that. I live in a country where that is very much possible. So you want to tell me not to be afraid of that, I don't know how you tell me to do that. I don't know how you tell. I could walk out the house and have one bad day and somebody could shoot me down. And
So you walking around scared all day? Like, what are you doing?
I'm not walking around scared all day, but I'm not. But also, there are times where I am afraid of certain things, and then I have to process that and get up. Right? I have to process that fear, get up and move around and find these resources that Vanessa are talking about. But I don't appreciate my own people telling me that I don't have, the right to be afraid or I shouldn't be afraid. When I'm looking at the thing that scares me, like I see it every single day. Black people are being gunned down and mistreated on a regular basis, and there has been no change for hundreds of years. So some days, yes, I do let fear creep into my mind. But I also, two things can be true. I process that fear and I get up and I walk around and I recognize my power and I walk in that too.
Mm-hmm.
And and if somebody comes to me saying, "Hey man, I'm afraid of this thing," I don't say, "Shut your ass up." Let's talk about it, bro. Let's talk about what you're afraid of. Let's talk about what's really going on. And let's try to put you and anchor your feet in this very present moment so that you can get up and do the things that you need to do in order to secure yourself for the future.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not invalidating. I don't think you get anybody to get, and I'm talking about fear of anything. Whatever you're afraid of, I don't get anybody to do what they need to do by telling them their fear is invalid. I'm not doing that.
Okay, you're a therapist, of course, but I'm gonna tell you,
I'm
not gonna tell you your fear is invalid. I'm not gonna tell you your fear is invalid, but I am gonna tell you to man up because I have boys too, right? So I'm not gonna tell them to walk around in no damn fearing everything because regardless, here's what I know: whether they're fear or whether they have fear or whether they're fearless, whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen.
Just
So
talking.
do they walk around being afraid of everything?
No, what you're
I
just
share with y'all, my son got pulled over by a cop. They put a gun to my boy's head for no reason. So now does that mean that he's going to be afraid every single time? We're
But
going
what
to
if he
talk about it when we
was?
come back from the.
maybe.
But what if he was? You would be like, son, if he like, mom, I'm feeling trauma from that situation for
He
you.
did
You
feel
say,
trauma. He
right.
did feel trauma, and we worked through that. But I still got to tell him, like, listen, you are a king. We still have to reinforce the
You didn't say
positive things.
man up.
He's not going,
Oh,
but he's not going to fail under the pressure of that.
Man
That's not going to
Ever.
rule him.
Never. Man up is not reinforcement. Ever.
I didn't say man up. I didn't say man up.
You
You said
absolutely
that you would tell a man to man up.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I also think that the opposite of, and just from Constance's standpoint, I think the opposite of allowing your child or your husband or your significant other, your best friend, male, to sit in fear. I'm not saying that it's not valid, but it is valid. This is the area that we live in. It is fearful to be in America. That is a fact for a Black man. Just like women, when we walk outside, I think about getting raped by a white man. There are some valid fears, but you cannot live your life stuck. It is your duty to not live your life stuck in that space that doesn't allow you to progress in life because you
That
harm
part.
the whole community. It
That
is a fact. That's what we live in. So I'm not saying that it's invalidated, but you got to work through it. You got to find the resources or the process or something, because if you just allow it to manifest and sit in it and just take you down, it is no help to us as a Black community.
But it
That's
keeps happening. It keeps happening over and over again. So it's not like it happened once. It's like every time it's reoccurring. These traumas are being
Yeah, but and we've seen,
At some
and also
point,
black men have been successful reoccurring. We've grown out of a lot of stuff, and that's reoccurring as well. And it's because of us not operating and sitting in fear and wondering how they're going to stop us, that has been allowed. If we just sit and operate in that and don't process it and keep pushing, then we will be in that space forever.
the problem is this has been happening since we've been in this country. Since the inception of this country, there's been an attack on Black people, specifically Black men, but Black people, period. The problem is we're so mental health aware that we allow it to overtake us. And then it paralyzes us from doing what the hell we really need to do. We're going to talk more about it when we come back from break.
Hey, it's Dr. Javette, brand your brilliance coach and monetization strategist. I am partnering with the Fly Nubian Money Club to help you turn your natural gifts into big business. I help my clients build 6 and 7 figure businesses by branding their brilliance. You know, that thing that comes easy to you, the thing that you can do with your eyes closed. That thing, that's your brilliance. And now it's your turn. Join me on February 22nd at 10 o'clock a.m. and I'll walk you through strategies that can change your life and business forever. Don't miss this opportunity to brand your brilliance. I'll see you in class.
So let me tell you, this makes so much sense. Hayward said, fear is a form of awareness. It helped me to survive the Vietnam War. He's a man of a certain age. It's my dad's age. My dad was in the Vietnam War too. And my dad was a corporal and he had to lead. You know, he was a squadron leader. And so he was responsible for a lot of people's lives being in the Vietnam War. And so I see why he says what he says, because he's a man of a certain age. But we can't think no more like that, sir. Like, we can't think what white people gonna let us do and what white people ain't gonna let us do, because in order for us to get anywhere, or where we've always had to go, we've had to take it. They were not giving us anything. So we cannot continue to say, well, we're not going to come together. White people ain't going to give us nothing, because we got to just take that shit. Anyway, let's take a look at this video and let's have a more discussion around this other white person saying something.
Blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders. That's not a war on drugs, that's a culture problem. Why are so many blacks committing murders outside of their population?
Okay, let's take it back to some history.
I'm curious for an answer to that question.
I'm going to give you one. So let's go to redlining. Okay, redlining.
Redlining
Yes.
is why so many blacks are killing each other?
No, let me finish my claim.
Okay.
And then you can respond. Is that okay? Okay, so redlining, federally mandated or sustained by the FHA, right? Separating Black Americans to specifically impoverished and relegated areas of the country. We are incapable of buying homes and putting equity into neighborhoods with lower crime rates and better educational systems. We do not have access to things that would uplift and help our community. When you are put in an environment that promotes and reinforces social and economic inequality, you become desperate and are forced to do things that maybe don't align with your values.
But what you're making an excuse.
Okay.
So first of all, let's talk about the propaganda that this white man has been fed and believes, and that a lot of us believe the same thing because we've adopted that same bullshit ass thinking. But go ahead, Tierra, what you want to say about that?
So I just wanted to say really quick, operating, and we were just talking about it, but if let's just say this white man's narratives represents, I don't know, 50%, just half of the country and what they think. Like, if somebody is walking around thinking that way, I just wanted to say it'll just kind of keep people. Basically, it contributes to why someone would operate in a certain way, or why a man would feel unsafe, or why a man would be like, man, I just feel nervous just breathing, right? Like, we brought up the whole idea of that, or, pre-show, we brought up the whole idea of that man who was coming home to his own house. And a white woman was like, you don't live here. You don't live here. He was like, I'm coming home to my house. She was like, and then started running down the street and was like, rape. He tried to beat me up or rape me or whatever. And it was just because there was a camera there. So I just think that there's a real, my point is, if there are people around the country that are thinking this way, it does put Black men in jeopardy. And I just want to just say that. I wanted to play that video just because I think that the people are walking around thinking this way. So I think it automatically puts us at a disadvantage,
I think mental warfare is the worst kind of warfare that you can have. When you continue on your news stations to criminalize Black men, when you continue to put them into prisons, when you continue to not educate Black people, when you continue to just victimize Black people, and then you tell the victim, well, why are you being a victim? Why are you doing these things? And you've put them there, and every time they try to progress and build wealth, you've stopped it. You put laws into place. You've done all these things to stop them. So you do have a lot of white people who think that way. Those are a lot of your Fox News thinkers, and then some black people have adopted this same mentality. So what do you say, like Vanessa, if you heard somebody say some shit like this, what would you tell them?
I mean, it's just interesting people's thought process because I'm not scared. I'm not scared of black men. When I see a white man walking down the street, and if I'm on the thing, I cross the street because I'm like, y'all shoot people, y'all kill people, y'all racist, y'all violent. So I mean, I just feel like you just have to look at the statistics. You have to look at the history, and I would just encourage education, which we all know that they're not trying to encourage, because I do believe that I don't know what percentage, but a large percentage of our population does think like that. So I mean, for us, like I said, it's imperative for us to invest in our own communities and for us to have black communities where, like we talk about this gentleman, the first question I wanted to know was, well, what neighborhood do you live in? Because you're probably not living in like a black neighborhood or like a Baldwin Hills or, somewhere where people look like you. So, I mean, I think that's imperative for us as black people to start having black communities, right? But we can only do that if we're recycling the wealth, if we're recycling our money, because that narrative that we just listened to, that hasn't changed, right? Black men have been persecuted through films, through art, through advertisements, for for as long as probably America has existed, right? That hasn't changed. You can look through, you could do a quick Google search, 1960, 1950, 1900s. It just keeps happening. This idea that black men are violent, they rape people, they're uneducated. Like, that's an ongoing narrative and it hasn't changed. So if we know that they're not going to change their narrative, what can we do? Is, I guess, the question. Like, are we going to just sit back and be like, okay, well, we're just going to keep listening to that? Are we going to keep, you know, promoting, violent music, or, you know, subjecting our black boys to, this ideology? And I feel like, what are we going to do? They've shown that they're not going to change.
But we got to be the ones. Moya, what do you say
Exactly.
if somebody said this to you? I don't care if they're white or black. What do you say? What is your response?
To what Charlie just said?
Yeah, is that his name?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I really don't have a response for what Charlie said. I think what we're talking about in the sense of us building up our own mind, I think the most profound thing said, there's a lot of things said, but mental warfare is a very real thing, as you said, Constance, because it really, really is. Like, we have to protect our mind more than anything. We have to protect our children's mind more than anything. And when we do, and we have to have a conversation that includes what Constance is saying and Vanessa is saying in terms of, hey, what does it look like to build ourselves up so we can become active? We can become active in terms of voting participation. We can become active in terms of entrepreneurship, because just those two alone have a level of personal development that our human evolution would go through that will allow us to show up stronger. And then also what Tierra and what Joe are saying in terms of, we're not able to just say, hey, get up. So we have to really understand what it means to truly build someone up so they can go out there and be all that we know that they can be, the kings and queens that is already inside of us.
Okay. All right. Joe, if you heard somebody say that, because Moya didn't answer my question, but it's okay. What would your response be to somebody who said something like that?
I think Moy did answer your question. She
No,
said,
she didn't.
I don't have a response. I wouldn't have a response either. This man has found narratives that fit his objective because somehow, some way, black people have, I don't know, made his life harder in some kind of way. So he wants to believe things that are fundamentally untrue. So I don't know how many times I got to tell y'all this. I'm not going back and forth with people like this. Doing it. So if this man is in my space saying the things that he's saying, I'm going to look at him and say, you believe that? And he's going to say, yes, I believe that. Then we have nothing else to talk about. I do not have a response. You clearly believe things that I know for a fact are fundamentally.
What are your facts?
I don't need facts. I know that's not a fact. I don't want to hear whatever. I'm not going to go out of my way to sound smart or to try to prove my point against stuff that I know is not. He's not telling the truth. I know that he's not telling the truth, and I know that even if those things were true, that there's 1,000 reasons behind the fact that the black community isn't where it is right now. And the number one thing is always going to be racism. It is this country is systematically and fundamentally racist. That is a fact that I will not be arguing with anybody about for the remainder of my life. Doing it. So these kind of conversations, you will not find me in them. I'm with Moya. I have no response.
I'm, you know, Gemma and Moya, and I understand you guys don't want to argue. So I have trolls like that be on my YouTube page a lot, and I don't really respond to them. However, I know what's true and what's real, and I can tell you why what's true is true and what's real is real. But before I even do, Tiara, what would you tell this man?
Yeah, I would probably get hyped up, y'all. I probably would. I would probably be in there trying to like debunk all the facts and be like, well, basically, hold on, according to stats, you know, she played it easy. It was like redlining. I'd have been like, nah, you know, but let me tell you what I know, you know, like it just would have been, it would have, you know, we would have had to go back and forth. But me just trying to prove that. But like, you know, I just see ignorance. I seen that he would have frustrated me though. You know, so I don't know how long I would have did that with him going back and forth because his ignorance would have just frustrated my soul. So I'd have tried to come for him and debate him, and then got frustrated and tried to start cussing. I don't know. It has just been a problem.
You know, it's really frustrating, just trying to explain things to somebody like him, because no matter what you say, even if it's in their face, even if they know the truth, they're going to believe what they want to believe anyway. So it's really tough to even just have the conversation. So the conversation I would have, it wouldn't be for him. It will be for everybody else, because he's going to continue to believe what he believes. But everybody else needs to know the truth. Right. So we need to bring awareness to the truth. The truth is, just like she said, she's talked about the economic issues within the Black community. Again, let's go back to the history of this country, y'all, from after the emancipation, even before that. Like do you know that they had a illness for Black people who ran away called drapetomania. That meant if a Black person would run away, they don't want to get abused anymore, they would mentally criminalize Black people and saying they're crazy. A psychologist said this, and this was implemented in slavery, that Black people who ran away from their enslavers were mentally ill. Okay, they've done this since slavery. And you think about after slavery, they said slavery is over, except for the 13th Amendment, prisons. We can now criminalize these Black people, and that's where you have the surge of the prison system. So then you criminalize these Black people, and then you have all these Black men who are then accused of rape. And then every time again, we've gotten some kind of economic power, they found a way to criminalize. Oh, he whistled at a Black woman. Let's go burn down the town. Not only should we burn down the town, but let's get the federal government to come in and bomb the town too. So then the wealth that we had, that we acquired, because, you know, there was like, I don't know, 20, 30 Black men in Congress after the Civil War. And in Wilmington, North Carolina, they seen all these Black leaders and this Black thriving town, and these white people got mad and came and burned the whole town down and killed a bunch of people. And they said, we taking these Black folks out of power. We're going to put white people in their place. So you mean to tell me you're going to sit up there and you're going to talk about how we're criminals when you've been criminalizing Black people since the inception of this country, and you continue to do that, and you throw these rocks and then you hide your hands and you say, well, why are you like that? As if you didn't put me in the position that I'm in by, number one, you the atrocities, the physical atrocities, the mental atrocities, and then the economic atrocities. These were all caused by white people. Y'all did this. And then you're going to ask me why I'm here. Is absolutely crazy. But that's
what they tell you to man up. They tell you to man up.
That's what psychological, they are diabolical. That's what these white people, they're diabolical. They put you in this, it's gaslighting at its highest, right? It's what's gaslighting. It's gaslighting at its highest. But we're going to talk more about it after commercial.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Yo!
Love it.
Y'all don't even know who that is. That's Gwen. Gwen is on the ones and twos in the back, y'all. That's one of our producers. And listen, the voiceover was great. I love it, Gwen. Yes. Shout out. You surprised us with that one. Did you play that yesterday too?
No, we didn't play it yesterday.
Okay, this is the debut. Okay, Gwen, man. Hey, I love it. Joe
Gwen
said the voice made it like a home cooked meal.
She does voiceovers. I just had to put, we had to bring it back. I had to put her to work in a little bit, but she back.
Right. I love it. So there are real fears here. You have the unemployment gap where Black men have a 6.1% unemployment rate, double that of white men. You have incarceration rates, which we know Black men are they're not 5 times more likely to commit crimes. They're 5 times more likely to go to jail, to get incarcerated as a result. You have police brutality where Black men are 2.5 times more likely to be killed by police than white men. You have the education disparities. Do you know we are more likely to be suspended from schools? Black boys are more likely to be criminalized. And then you have the prison to pipeline system. You have 40% of Black men graduate from college within 6 years of 60 compared to 60% of white men. Then, of course, we have mental health challenges, right? Because a lot of Black men suffer from PTSD. And really, if I said for them to man up, I didn't mean to man up. So I'm not saying that to be insensitive, but we need strong leadership. Like I want to help. I want to build you and I want to support you and I want to undergird you and I want to serve you and I want to be your helpmate. I'm not going to tell you to man up, but I need you to man up. Like I need you to get your bearings about yourself, Joe. Listen, you just said earlier, 2 things could be true at once. You get it. 2 things could be true at once. I'm just saying, I'm not telling you to man up, but at the same time, we need you. Y'all ever heard that gospel song? I need you to survive. Like I need you. You need me. We're all a part of God's family. We need each other to survive.
Constance, I do have a question for the two on the panel. 2 people, well, actually the 3 of you. So how does this affect how you, Moya, Joe, Constance, how you rear your sons for the future? How does that, what things will you be telling them when this is 2 real things. Like when they go into the world, there are white people that think this about them already, who are teaching their children this same ideology. And how do you get them to be strong men at the same time? Starting with Moya.
So for me, what I do is I'm really, really focusing on Black history. And I'm not focusing on Black history so they know names and dates. I focus on Black history so they have a foundation of understanding of who they are. So no one can come and tell them who they're supposed to be. And then I do have the other side of the conversation that lets them know that they're not like their friends. Meaning, like, if they see their friends all running McDonald's and they have whatever, they have water cups or whatever, and they get soda, I say, you're not able to do